Welcome to Shore Perspectives, a community feature of WESR Radio, highlighting the spirit of the shore from those who call it home.
I'm Fred Jancy. I run a small business here in Tasley.
Tell me a little bit about how the idea came about to begin the relief drive.
I had gone to Charlotte and just watched it on the local news, spent the night there and watched it on the local news. And I drive for my business, and I travel alone. And there's only so much radio that you listen to, and I travel a lot at night. I'm always thinking of things, and just popped in my head that, why can't we do this? Why can't we assist? And then it came back here and made a few inquiries and said, we can do that. And I felt that I needed a little bit of credibility. So that's why I talked with Vernon Bell and regarding the Presbyterian Church in Washapree. And he thought it was a great idea. And then Vernon went and talked to the pastor, and everybody agreed that it'd be a great idea. And then I said, well, let me ask Rob Bloxham what he thinks. And again, same thing. Rob thought it was a great idea, and then we did it. We printed up flyers, and then Vernon and I started passing those. I think we put 75 flyers out at various businesses, and all the businesses were receptive. They thought it was a great idea, and we really didn't know what was going to happen. And it did start a little slow. We did it for 3 Saturdays in the 2 weeks in between. And it did start out a little slow, and I even started to say, well, my goal was 12 of these Gaylord boxes. I said, well, we should at least get 8. And but then that last week, it just we actually had to be a little bit more choosy in what could go, because we were definitely loaded. We had no spare room. People picked, like I say, they'd go to the store and then they'd grab a few extra things. And a couple of them said, well, we just went to do our grocery shopping and we got these extra things. And some of the ladies from their church groups, they would gather the stuff at the church, and then one of them would be elected to bring it over. And it was great, because it was from the people. It was from the people, so that was good.
What were your observations as you traveled from the Eastern Shore and got closer and closer to the areas affected by Hurricane Helene?
You don't notice it. About 30 miles or so east of Swannanoa, we started to notice a lot of trees down along the highway. Other than that, that was it. But the trees, and as closer we got, the more and more trees were down. And they were knocked down on the interstate, and they weren't cleared up like, a tree is knocked down here and within a day it's gone. These were there for a period of time, and they had cut the trees off with the edge of the highway on one side, and if they went all the way across, they cut it on the other side. So all those highways were closed at one point with down trees. The guardrails are just wherever the trees were, the guardrails, signs like exit, whatever, coming up, those are all knocked down where the trees were, and that quantity increased until we got to Mount Pisgah and the Pisgah Forest, and then going up to the top of the mountain, that's where the road started. They had it blockaded, so you can only use one lane, and the mudslides. The reason it was closed was because of mudslides had come down, and not small mudslides, but big mudslides that you could see. The dirt must have all been completely across the road. So yeah, the closer we got, the more intense the damage was. Swannanoa is in a narrow valley and drains this Pisgah Forest. All the water from the forest runs down through there, and you could see the damage in the valley itself. At the bottom of the valley, bridges, trees, just the debris piled up everywhere. But they're doing a good job of trying to clean it up. They're working. There's trucks running everywhere, moving material and piling it up. And then after we had gotten off the highway, and you saw that in the valley, and it's a flood. It was a flood. so you didn't give much thought to the higher areas. But then as we turned off the main road to head to where Hearts with Hands location is, on the hills, all the trees were knocked down because I think they had almost a week of rain prior to the hurricane rain. So the the ground was saturated, and the trees are uprooted, and just everywhere. I mean, just every which direction. The trees took down the power lines. The power poles are broken off. They're all laying on with the trees, and the trees are cut. The same thing on the interstate. Just one side of the road is just stumps all the way down the road where the trees jut out, and on the other side, so the road is open. You can travel the road, but it's just trees everywhere. We crossed one small valley to get to their place that prior to the storm must have been just a beautiful spot. It had pastures on both sides of the road with fences along it, a little bridge and a small brook, but that small brook or small stream had totally engulfed the whole valley. The fields now are just mud. All the fence lines are just piled up with trees and parts of trees and bits and pieces of people's homes. And this is only one small area. This was on the eastern side. All these streams and rivers run into Asheville, and that's why Asheville got hit even worse, because all the streams in the region travel through or drain through Asheville. We didn't feel comfortable doing any sightseeing, so we came in, did our business, and left, and that's all we saw.
From news reports, though, we do understand that many, if not all of the businesses in Asheville were impacted harshly.
Yes, I believe that their arts district, they had an arts district, which was a mainstay of the tourism industry. And I believe that had a lot of small businesses, little jewelry stores and little arts galleries and things like that. And I understand that is completely gone. Completely gone.
It's the kind of thing that is so difficult to imagine how just in the space of 48 hours, how much life can change.
If you live in a mountainous region, your streams and roads and railroads and all that stuff are all in the valleys. I mean, whether it's New England or North Carolina or any place, Appalachia, anywhere, that's what it is. And if you live in those areas and you get a week's worth of rain and everybody starts talking amongst them, wow, we've had a lot of rain, and yeah, the river's starting to come up a little bit. But this was 30 inches of rain over a fairly wide area, too. We had a storm in Wachapreague a few years ago that was 8.5 inches of rain, but it was really localized. But this was over a number of counties, and 30 inches of rain can you just picture 30 inches on everywhere you look on the ground. There's 30 inches of water on that, and it has to go somewheres. And those little streams that even in flood stage, they might have gotten 10 feet deep, but when all this water came off of all these mountains, instead of 10-foot flood stage, they went to 30 feet deep. People had built their homes close by to the rivers, and it was so great, and thought it was, oh, we're good. We're never going to get flooded here. We're high. And it's devastating.
If you had one thing that you could say to the folks of the Eastern Shore in gratitude for their contributions of not only items, but care, concern, love, prayers, what would that be?
Well, from me, personally, from my heart, thank you to everybody. I mean, that was really a nice outpouring of the people here all the people here on the Eastern Shore to do that. And in general, again, thank you to the people from North Carolina. They're grateful for everything they can get. I don't know if anybody watches. There's a lot of clips on YouTube. There's a lot of people that are residents down there that are just kind of watching areas, and they keep reporting on YouTube. And they have a struggle ahead. I would like to hope, and I'm sure American citizens are that way, that if the shoe was on the other foot, the people elsewhere would be helping us out also. So I think it's just a good thing. It was a good thing for everybody on the Eastern Shore.
For Shore Perspectives and WESR Radio, I'm Kelly Gaskell.